This is the Healthology Experts, where we talk about the art and science of health and longevity. I'm Dr. Traveler, and thank you for joining us. Hey you guys, welcome back. Today you just get me. I'm back. I'm sorry we missed a week. It was my goal to never miss a week, but it happens. I had a family vacation and we had a blast. And so I just said, hey, it's time to relax. It was time to sharpen the saw. And it was just really fun. So I'm not gonna feel too bad. I'm not gonna beat up on myself too much. But I also was unable to find a guest for this week. And so what I wanted to talk about today is, I'm always hopefully you are a reader. Now, after what we talk about today, you may find out that maybe you're not as much of a reader as I am, and this is kind of telling us why. So what I wanted to talk about is one specific way of looking at understanding you and character tests. You know, there's personality tests, the Myers-Briggs. The list is endless, right? There's the different colors. I don't even know what all of them are called, and I've read a lot of books on it. I've always loved Gretchen Rubin's book called The Four Tendencies. I think it's simple. There's four. Recently I was listening to a podcast called Faith Matters, and they had an author on there. His name was Ian Morgan Cron, and he wrote a book called The Road Back to You. And so after hearing this podcast, I decided to look at this book, The Road Back to You. And he writes, along with the other author, Suzanne Stabile, I guess is how you'd say that. They write about the Enneagram. And I'll admit, I had never heard of the Enneagram. I think I should have, and maybe I've heard the word but didn't recognize it. But the Enneagram is kind of another personality test. But what I really loved about it is that, especially in this book and the way that the Enneagram has come into existence, it's been adopted by a lot of religious traditions, whether they're Eastern, whether it's our traditional Judeo-Christian. It's starting to move into that a lot more. And what I liked about it is that it really takes into account the areas that I like to focus on: physical, mental, and spiritual. And obviously, in the book, he talks a lot about the characteristics. There's 9. So I'm going to give you kind of the brief rundown of that, and then I'm going to encourage you to go and check it out, or go study, any of these other, Gretchen Rubin's book, The Four Tendencies, take a Myers-Briggs test. I personally think that by learning about yourself, you're able to become your best self. And also, I believe that I'm a son of God. The more we learn about ourselves, the more we learn about God, and we're able to strengthen ourselves physically, mentally, and spiritually. So that's why I think it's a value. So I wanted to talk about it here for just a minute. So anyway, there are in the Enneagram, and I have notes because this is not, it's not super simple. Like I said, I've got the 4 tendencies that I've got down. Like, I know what all the labels are, but there's 4, and it's pretty simple because she's just talking about what motivates you. Whereas the Enneagram, there are 9 character traits, okay? And I'll read through them here. Like I say, I've got it all drawn up. So 1 through 9, there's not one that's more important or better than another. Number 1 is called the strict perfectionist, okay? They are conscious, perfectionist, critical, and controlled, okay? And I'll admit, at first it's funny because as they read around, I was like, oh, I think that might be me. And I started out thinking, okay, I might be a 1, but I don't think I am. And I'll talk to you about why. Number 2 is called the considerate helper. They are caring, generous, friendly, and warm-hearted. 3 is the competitive achiever. They are ambitious, focused, adaptable, and shrewd. fortunately or unfortunately, I don't know if I love it. I am a 3. I'm a 3, and I'll talk to you about why and where that kind of comes from. Number 4 is an intense creative. The intense creative, they are creative, deep, emotional, and expressive. 5 is a quiet specialist. They are cerebral, private, curious, and detached. A 6 is called a loyal skeptic. They are cautious, loyal, anxious, and alert. 7 is called the enthusiastic visionary. They are optimistic, spontaneous, uninhibited, and keen. 8 is called your active controller. I actually in the beginning thought I was for sure an 8, but then I changed my mind. They are self-assured, assertive, decisive, and direct. And the 9 is called an adaptive peacemaker. They are patient, non-aggressive, accommodating, and easygoing. Now, in the book, Road Back to You, the authors talk about, like ask yourself these questions, and then, this is, if you say yes to these, then you are one of these. And they talk about having, a wing, so there's no one person that's just one of these and you don't have any of the others. But they definitely said, and I agree, you tend to lean towards one more than the others, and then you'll have like a wing. So like you say, you could be a 9 with a 1 wing, or a 7 with an 8 wing, something like that. And in the book, he really explains it well. But I feel like I need to read and look in a little more in depth into the book, so that I can kind of get these down and understand, because I feel like then you can understand other people as well. You don't want to analyze them and say, oh, you're such a this or that. But this is an interesting thing that happened, because whether my wife noticed it or not, I was listening to, so I listened to a lot of the books. I was listening to the book, and it happened to be on the chapter for the 3, okay? Now, I had already kind of said to myself, I thought I was either a 1, an 8, or a 3, but I didn't know for sure. And as I was listening to this, my wife walked in, and I don't even think she was paying attention, to be honest. But I thought she could hear the book, and as the author was talking, all of a sudden, I felt so uncomfortable. It was the craziest thing. Like, I thought, and he said this in the beginning of the book, like, some people may feel exposed. That's how I felt. I felt like my wife, I thought she was going to turn to me and be like, well, that's you, And again, there's positives in it. All 9 have redemptive qualities and qualities that would be considered, not so good. And so I'm not going to say that, like, I hate to say that I'm ashamed to be a 3. I'm not. I'm a go-getter. I like to go do stuff. But there were some qualities about 3s that I was kind of embarrassed about. And I think that that's, all of us have qualities that we don't necessarily love, that we're trying to do better. And so it was just interesting, because as it was talking about them, it was like everything that I was embarrassed about and self-conscious about, it was like he was saying, this is, if you do this, then this is you. And I was like, oh man, this is me. And then all of a sudden someone else was listening, and I was super embarrassed. So I do think I have a few parts of an 8, but then I was like, no, I don't think I'm an 8. And then 1, sorry Dad, I think I was raised by a 1, so I'm a 3 with pieces, and I'm trying to figure out whether I'm a 3 with a 2 wing, or a 3 with a 4 wing. Anyway, that's why I have to go back and do some more research. But I love this type of stuff, but that's because maybe I'm a 3. 3s always want to change and be better, and I talk a lot about repentance, and that repentance means we're just getting better and better every day, and that's a very I know they say not to say this, but from what I understand, that's a very 3 thing to say, like that we want to get better and better every day. So that could be considered good and redemptive. A part of me is a little embarrassed from it because it's like, I don't know, it just seems like people are now, they can look in and be like, oh, he's a 3. But I'm a 3. That's what I am on the Enneagram. The others, again, I want to learn about them. That's really cool. And as he was talking about them, I could kind of picture people that I work with, friends, patients, and I think it can be helpful if you know how people work to understand them. I encourage you to go check out The Road Back to You by Ian Morgan Cron and Suzanne. I think it's Stabile. I may be saying that last name wrong, but it was very interesting. I'm going to go over the book again for a second time, but look into any of those. I think it's really helpful for all of us to know more about ourselves. And so if you are interested in knowing more about yourself, go check out any of those. Like I said, the ones that come to mind again, Myers-Briggs, I know that's a famous one. And there's others, the colors, and I can't remember what they're all called. There's a lot out there, and I feel like I've taken all of them, and it's good. I think it's good. But this was a very interesting one because of how it looked at it physically, mentally, and spiritually. There's not a lot of them that take into account the spiritual nature like the Enneagram does, and I liked that. So that's my book recommendation for today, The Road Back to You. And I just want to close by just again reiterating that I think it's good when you know yourself, then you know God better. And I feel like you can get to know others better too once you know yourself better. Okay? All right. This is Dr. Traveler, and I am signing out. All right. Thanks for listening today. Hey, if you could please go on, like, subscribe, make a comment, go on to all the other social media. Go on to Facebook, Instagram, go on to TikTok, search for Healthology Experts. It really helps us to grow and push this message. And if you gain value from this, then go on and please participate. We try to get to all of the questions or anything that you have, any responses or comments. So go, like, subscribe, do all the stuff that you know helps us. All right, guys, see ya.